Germany as well. Like, and I recall it. You go to war with the country. So what you were saying, Jake, I was like, yo, you might have to
Yes, and
elaborate on.
since we're talking about this, I want to bring up this other kind of sneaky trick that's been going on, right? So, and it all revolves around like the labeling of groups as terrorist organizations, right? Um, and
Yeah,
like
hang on a second. Then it maybe it's not much different than the same movements now. With hate speech, I have to run by your speech rules that you made up today. What is that? Where does that even exist? That's the complete bullshit that never existed.
well,
I don't
it's
have to
this,
work by
it's
anybody's speech rules.
hold on,
Nobody does.
it's a game. It's a sophisticated political and legalese game that the Iranians are trying to play, right? Like, and I'm not an expert, on this like particular type of law, but my general understanding is this. Um when you label something a terrorist organization, that legally gives you some abilities to do some things, but it also places a box, so to speak, on um, how broadly you can act, right? But when you go to war with a nation, that gives the broadest ability to do things. So the Iranians are like trying to get like the IRGC labeled as a terrorist organization, so that they can complicate our efforts against them. That's why they're trying to push things that
Well,
direction
if you think
versus
back,
fucking
yeah, but
out
think back
out.
to when they started this nonsense. If you think back to when this nonsense started, they would say, I am pro Israeli, so please do me a favor when you talk about my country and you talk about it in a horrible vein, please say IRGC, don't say Iranians. Can we make this deal? And if you do that, I'll be pro Israeli. Can we shake on it? That was how the conversations used to go. And pro Israelis, they wanted pro Israeli. Yeah, pro Israeli is good for us. This is Twitter. This is information war. You're going to be pro Israeli. Let's shake on it. That's how it used to. That's how it
Ne-
started.
However, here's the thing though. Um, Name one Iranian that opposed the killing of the IRGC terrorists. There's a retweet on my actually a reply on my tweet streamline there. The reply to one of the Iranians is that two of our innocent children got killed by the Baloch terrorists. They never want to have the IRGC hurt because it gives them power. Even these
Well,
pro Democrats that
100%,
live,
100%. But
yeah,
that's the narrative that started to change on Spaces, in which people started to forget that everything happening now is Iran. Your one
Yes,
enemy is Iran. And if you focus
yes,
on that and you remember that, there isn't any kind of question about the enemy of your enemy is your friend. I think
yes,
this
yeah,
narrative that they had, this propaganda, was extremely effective because the
yes.
whole thing is Iran. Everything is Iran. So any single
100%.
human willing to stand up to them is an ally.
So I don't know if you guys are
Exactly.
familiar with Ryan Macbeth and the work that Ryan Macbeth does. I don't
No,
know
but
if
I'm
Alan is
checking it out right now.
available. I think Alan might be in the best position to kind of explain, what does Ryan Macbeth do? Alan, are you around?
Okay, Ryan Macbeth is a former Army officer who ran a division in the anti-tank for the U.S. Army for over 20 years. After that, he became a software developer while in the Army. That's what he went to school for. And he spent the last, I think 15, 20 years working as a intel analysis analyst for basically finding the bad guys through digital platforms. What he does now
Oh,
is,
yeah.
yeah, what he
Yeah.
does now is he goes out and takes disinformation and misinformation and teaches people how to identify these things by putting it through the U.S. standard for intelligence analysis. And so when someone comes out with some bullshit disinformation, um, he is the guy who finds them, who fucking blasts their ass online and lets you know exactly how this disinformation and misinformation comes to be, especially DIP, which is deceptive imagery persuasion. He really goes hardcore against that and kind of gives people an opening to understand what this is, where it comes from. Yeah, he would be the guy for something like this.
Yeah. Think about what we know from common sense 100%. 100% we can tell you. There isn't any way that Iran, who's invested billions in this information, Russia's invested billions in information, that they wouldn't put people on spaces for $20, no risk to try to do this. They would have to be complete idiots. Why the hell wouldn't they? This is free compared to, this is nothing compared to what they would want to do. It would be ridiculous that they wouldn't. To thought that they wouldn't do that is absolutely ridiculous. So we know they're here for sure. There isn't
Absolutely.
any way around it.
I just,
100%,
I don't know if it
100%.
relates totally, but I just got a question. So, like 99.5% of Iranians are Muslim, and there's a couple of Christians, like 100,000, and then there's quite a few Zoroastrians. But like, there are a few Jews in Iran, and I think if anyone wants to make a disclaimer, I'm sure I would assume the IDF know about those Jews in Iran. Put it that way. That's my gut feel.
Yes, they
Okay,
would
So
know
I would
about them.
say, to your
But
point,
when you,
Jake, they wouldn't be an enemy directly.
well, let
Or
me
not to your point, but
let me finish my point. You'll see why. Well, if they're guaranteed to be IRGC operatives all over the place, well, who are they? I don't see anybody saying IRGC is great. IRGC is great. So where are they? What are they? Who? Where are they? Who are they? And what are they saying?
yeah, there's
Are
no
they the pro-Israel
Iranian
guys?
Jew. There's no Iranian Jew on
No.
X basis.
Where are the operatives that we can guarantee are here? Are they the pro-Israel guys? Is Stealth an operative? Who's the operatives? Well, take a look. Who's the ones that are being effective? I don't think it's any more complicated than that. It's a simple process of elimination. Which ones are hurting the cause? Which ones are not? Take the ones that are hurting the cause because we know they're here. So it's pretty simple in my estimation. You should have a list,
yep.
Tyrone, a mile long. A mile long.
The
Number one.
Shah's been the most confusing because I'm like kind of not well. I'm at least friends with one pro Shah person, and that's kind of where it got a bit confusing for me. But I'm still
Well, if
figuring
I
things
was the
out.
one, if I was the one coaching these people out there, I would say you're gonna be suspected of that you're IRGC. So here's what you do: tell everyone that you love the Shah. Boom, win. Now no one's gonna think that you pro IRGC. They'll listen to what you say. Boom, bang, we win. Doesn't that make sense?
Yep.
They've done this though. They've done this for millennia, bro. Like you guys are just waking up to this. They have been doing this since like 20, 30 years ago. IRGC is very powerful. They go and pretend to be like pro-Persian, pro-Shah, and then they'll counter that as well. But the thing is, they will never speak against their cousins who are in the IRGC attacking the Kurds and the Baloch and the Jewish people. They'll never do that because they know it's his cousin or the third cousin or brother or someone from their town or relative from their family that's engaged in crimes against humanity in either Kurdistan or Balochistan, or they send them to be Hamas suicide attackers or something like that, and train the Hamas people like they did. Like they had a base where 7 of them got squashed and destroyed. But prior to that, you can see what happened in Balochistan. The Baloch people went out and took 200, 300 of them out. They don't disclose their real numbers. A real threat, like a massive threat. This is why, um, as a people, we should do our utmost best to raise awareness about the Baluch people, about the Kurdish people, and that Kurdistan is not Iran. Baluchistan was never Iran, will never be Iran. We were divided in subcategories. We never agreed to. We had no voice or say in it, and that is just not fair to the rest of the planet, because what they're doing is gaining more power and just engaged in crimes because they know that the Baluch have friends that they don't like the Baluch friends. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
comes to that. It comes to principle, and you'll never find an Iranian fighter that goes against the IRGC in Iran. That is one thing to note, that and no pro-Shah people would ever attack their own people.
If I may make something very simple here, because yeah, okay, complex situation, but this much is simple. We saw in the wake of the attack on the IRGC guys in Syria, we saw some of the Shaw, you know, uh, you know, crowd that poses as pro-Zionist. We saw them pretending to celebrate that, right? But we did not see those same people celebrate any of the times that the Baluch have eliminated, any of the IRGC uh, in and around Iran. We have not seen that, um, and we know that this is happening because not only are we hearing about it from Baluch sources, but Iranian state media, press TV, has acknowledged that IRGC have been killed in these areas, and they are trying to label the Baluch Army of Justice as some kind of terrorist organization, as if they're just some innocent country that's being terrorized by extremists,
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, the same with the Kurds. Yeah, everybody else is a terrorist except for them.
Yeah.
Everybody else is a terrorist except for them who build
The,
armies literally all over the place. Everybody else is a terrorist organization. Yeah, either terrorist or terrorist
exactly.
or
They've
Mossad.
created,
But
Jake,
yeah,
they've created a narrative of a so-called counter-terrorism organization within the IRGC or the Pakistani fascist terrorist state to counter the Baloch only, to kill them so that they can have full ultimate control over the ocean, over what kind of thuggery they can do with the in the ocean, get in and out without any controls and checks and bounds. What the Israeli government can do, what the United States can do, and these are possibilities, and they could do this if they wanted to, is destroy the air defenses of Iran, and Iran will be naked. They will be destroyed by the people.
I,
This is how it
I
is.
got to be honest with you. If I'm thinking logically, I know the propensity that the CIA and the U.S. has to go engage local parties to help them assist them, even when those parties are a little shady. They don't have a problem funneling some stuff to go take care of some business locally on the ground, keep American boots out of it. This is thousands of miles away from our homeland. If they were not involved with the Baluch like they are with the Kurds, I would be shocked. Honestly, if it found out that they weren't, I would really, really be surprised. It doesn't make any sense.
Same, same.
That's
If
not their
if
modus
if I
operandi.
was
We
if
don't
I
have
was
to
to
talk
find
about it that much, but I would be shocked.
yeah, I'd be shocked too.
These are people working like hell to get a job done. These are not administrative people. These are not Joe Biden. This is not Trump. These are people there who don't want their people to die, who want to utilize the best way to get an operation complete. I would. Don't tell me they wouldn't. That just seems crazy to me. That's number one. Number two, with regard to all the people from the Free Iran movement who came out to rejoice that this happened over here, I listened to them. The conversation started out with some kind of rejoicing and ended up with "Don't bomb Iran" for whatever kind of cockamamie reason. There was like three or four different reasons. It always did the same way. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Don't bomb Iran, and here's why: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They all went the same way,
Yeah,
and they rolled them out
because
in
they have their
numbers.
propaganda,
In droves, they came.
Jake. But they have their propaganda groups within, like lobby groups within either Israel or within the United States, and Ben knows that more than anyone.
Yeah, but Tyrone, get a list of these people. There's the same people every single time who get rolled out to take this position. Yes, yes, yes. Pro-Israel, pro-Israel. Yes, yes, yes. Hate Hamas. Hate Hamas.
It's a good
Don't
idea,
bomb
Jake.
Iran. Don't bomb Iran.
Tyrone created some great lists in the past. Uh,
Hmm.
I think it's time for some new, different types of lists.
Yeah, leave Boogeyman alone. Get us a real list. Get us a list. And the criteria to be on your list is if they say hate Hamas, don't bomb Iran. Thank you for killing the goddamn terrorists, but don't bomb Iran. If those two things go together anyway, they're on the list.
It's hate Hamas or hate Shawarma.
even then, you have people who have a lot of guts. They say hate IRGC too. Hate IRGC, but don't bomb Iran. That's a weird one, but
So
they still do it.
a problem in U.S. policy. Some might try to find ways to call policy failures in the past is a failure to define what victory looks like, right? A defined victory. Um, and rather than go into like history and give examples and shit like that, I'm sure you guys all can think of some. you know I think that a major thing that we can bring forward in this conflict is defining victory. And personally, I don't see how there's just no solution to the Iranian problem that I see that is viable. There's no viable solution to the Iranian problem that doesn't involve Kurdish and Baluch independence, and possibly more than that, but at least that. Like, if it doesn't involve at least that, I don't see it being a solution. You know,
Well, I
I
don't think
don't.
so. If the path to eliminating IRGC goes through the Baluch and the Kurds, I'm not sure anyone else gets a say. You understand? I don't think it works that way. It's like I asked you last week. If Canada took over the U.S. and then Texas went and busted them up and kicked them out, Texas gets to decide where they want to be next. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's the fact of the matter is, if you're watching what's going on and you're watching, I don't know how much these operations mean in real life. I just do know that they definitely are involved here and they are promulgating what they want. But ultimately, I don't think you have to find someone who says that the IRGC are terrorists, get rid of them, they're horrible, they're miserable. But by the same token, don't reject the notion to bomb them. That doesn't make any sense. No one in their right mind is saying, "Oh, find the most innocent civilians in Iran and bomb them." Why the hell would we waste a bomb on them? That makes no sense. It doesn't make sense when you accuse and blame Israel of doing that, and it doesn't make sense to make believe that anybody cares about that. Or why would I ever waste any weapon on someone who can't make a difference? No one's looking at the population around and say, "Oh, you took off your hijab, you're good, you're bad, let me bomb you." What kind of idiocy is that? Why would they make believe? What's kind of gaslighting, straw man? Call it what you want. That doesn't do any good for us. If you want to know if you're going to be bombed, just ask yourself one question: are you a threat to democracy in the Middle East? If you're not, you have nothing to worry about. For all those,
100%. Look at the
for
next
all those who
guy.
are actually, for all those who are actually nervous and afraid, up and over, you're so worried. Huh, Iranians are going to get hurt. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Which Iranians? Threat or no threat? Simple as that. Look in the
So,
mirror and ask, are you a threat? If you're not, sleep easy. You will not be targeted.
so even the IDF chief of staff does not say IRGC. He says Iran does not only threaten Israel, but the entire Western Arab world. Iran is a global problem,
I want to
was
point out
and
something.
remains a big problem.
I
This
want to point out
this guy
something
this
that.
guy
Hold on,
Nasrallah, Nasrallah, the
Jake.
chief of the
I
guys.
just Jake, you just inspired fucking something here. I just noticed something. They pretend to care about these so-called innocent Iranians that would be hurt if the Baluch or the Kurds were to try to obtain their independence. Yet the Baluch have been carrying out military operations all week, and I haven't heard them say anything about any innocent Iranians that have been getting hurt because of the Baluch's military campaign over the last week. So I don't even believe that they care about these so-called innocent Iranians, that these human shields. And that's what's really going on here is that this is just human shields rebranded as innocent Iranians, or human shields rebranded as Iranian Jews. Dude, these are what? These are human shields. They're just using them as human shields.
Well, I mean, I don't think the people in power, not the Chinese, the Persians in power currently, they don't care about anybody. They do whatever they got to do. And if all the rest of these people work for that, I mean, where's this Hassan Nasrallah, the big fancy Hezbollah guy? He's in a basement in Beirut, in the most populated place there is. This is how they all work. This is their modus operandi across the board. You think they'd pay billions of dollars for tunnels, right, in all the civilian places that didn't approve of the way that were done? I find it hard to believe that all that money that they're in control of would be used in a fashion they didn't approve of. You don't take $1 billion and do whatever you want with it. Build a tunnel, build it right, build it in civilian areas, under the hospitals. This is the directive.
Well, and to reiterate a point that you made earlier, and is if they
Sorry,
were going to
Ben.
go through such, hold on, guys, hold on, wait, why does everybody always do this? If they're going to fucking go through all that effort to create tunnels under Israel and to try to tunnel into Israel and all that kind of stuff, what makes us think that they wouldn't tunnel into Israeli spaces?
Hi.
This is
I just want to 2 seconds.
cheapest,
Oh, sorry.
easiest fashion for them to sow discord ever. They love spaces. It's never been easier. It's never been cheaper. It's never had less of a threat. It's never been less. There's no danger. There's no downside. There's zero downside for this kind of information warfare. They got nothing to lose.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey,
Thanks for coming up. Thanks for coming up. I invited Kurds in global politics to just maybe tell us about some of the Baloch attacks on RGC or anything like that. Thanks for coming up, sir.
Thank you, too. Actually, I am on a rush, leave the house, but I just joined it for a couple minutes. I was working on an article on Baloch struggle against Iran, too, but maybe published next week. I just published one article on Turkish elections, was a week ago, Sunday, and I published for NATO's 75th anniversary 3 days ago. It was April 4th. Now, as far as we know, how USA and Western governments are taking the decision making in foreign policy, how to deal with Iran or Kurds and Baloch and others. I have been corresponding to the US senators and many European countries' foreign affairs. Where I live in Canada, I write regular emails to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but they don't understand how to deal at the local level, let's say the Kurdish armed struggle against Iran, which goes back to 1945, right after the World War II. And the Kurdish armed struggle in Iran never supported by any Western govs because monarchy was pro-West, and then Ayatollahs were anti-Iraq and a new power in the Middle East. And so they want to see how an Islamic republic, besides they had the experience with Algeria and then the Afghanistan, they let it go, and then they branded Kurds as terrorists. Many European powers and USA calls Kurdish organizations in Iran terrorist parties, just like the one in Turkey. Actually, Iraqi Kurdish political parties were on USA terrorist list too, until USA invaded Iraq, and then 12 years later or 14 years later, they were removed from USA terrorist list. Now, Baloch Liberation Army in Iran is also in the globally designated terrorist list in USA. They are making the mistakes to have the possibility and opportunity in the future to cooperate with these guys so they can create an alternative government in exile to remove the Ayatollah and replace them with pro-Western secular federal, and new government that the Western world will work with much better in harmony. The position of the Baloch, that if you read their Baloch Liberation Army manifest, that they are pro-West and they are secular. And they are also in gender equality, respecting women's rights, which with Mahsa Amini's death in Iran started Jinjian Azadi,
Gina.
rights, death and women.
Gina Amini.
Yes,
Say her
Gina.
name right. Gina.
Mahsa Amini was her Iranian name. Mahsa Amini, Gina Amini was her Kurdish
Yeah, we don't
name.
recognize Iranian
And
anything.
although I am a Kurdish myself, so I will call it Gina Amini, but let's see. Now, as I
That's
said,
what she's called in this space, my friend.
yeah. Now,
It's okay. It's okay. We know that Iranians called her Mahsa Amini, but we keep her name alive, Gina.
yes, thank you very much. Now, as I said again, to effectively change USA and the European government's foreign policy on which national liberation movement is terroristic and not, and then they have to have certain level of diplomatic dialogue with these groups to know, to evaluate them if they can be qualified to be sponsored. Like Hamas is getting sponsorship from Turkey, Qatar, and Iran officially. Turkey and Qatar host Hamas headquarters. Now, if Kurdish organization wants to open an office in one of the major European countries or USA, they will decline. But Turkey is member of NATO, and Turkey hosting Hamas, and NATO is okay with this. USA is okay with this. United Kingdom, Italy, Germany, France, they're supposed to say no because they all call Hamas terrorist organization. But when it comes to Kurds and Baloch, they are much more strong to oppose. I mean, I am really disappointed with this hypocrisy that Western governments are, somehow they don't. Sorry to. They realize what the reality on the ground is, but they are not acting upon the reality on the ground. Like Hamas can dig tunnels for 15 years, 16 years, I don't know, 300 kilometers, whatever the amount is. But why wasting that money, time, and effort for the war preparations that the same money can build hospitals, farms, and factories, and universities, and to give a better future to the Palestinians?
Yeah, you're not going to find anyone in this space or in any other space that we promote in this group that disagrees with you there. That's one of the main purposes that we have on here is switching that narrative up, especially here within the States, so that way us in the United States and our friends in Israel both understand who your actual allies in the region are, and we end this bullshit dance with terrorist organizations like Turkey and Pakistan and Iran, and we stop trying to fucking tiptoe around them and actually start supporting our allies in the Kurds and the Baloch.
Thank you. As I said, I was about to leave the house, go outside with my family, and I received the invitation to join. And that's it for now. I wish best to all of you, and we talk another time.
Yeah, I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for joining, Kurds and
You're
Global
welcome. Have a
Politics.
good day. Thank
Thanks,
You
you.
too.
Kurds.
Thank you.
Absolutely, I'll follow
Bye.
you, sir.
Thanks, Kurds. Shawnee to kaka bashi.
Gala spaska kan bashi mum chawan.
Fast. Yalla,
Okay.
bye.
Ben, I wanted to get your opinion on on those 5 items that the IDF let out about what took place prior to the WCK attack. I just want to know what you think of that. What is that?
I saw that, and um I guess what I think about it is I don't want to think about that because anything that I say about that is liable to get construed and my position on that has already been made. Does this incident detrimental to the alliance? No. Um, so
Did
I
Hamas
mean,
orchestrate the killing of these people to get world
I said
sympathy?
from the beginning this had setup written all
Right,
over it.
right. But is
You
this
know,
sequence of events,
as far
does that
as
fulfill the
um
obligations, or do you still feel something's missing?
I mean, like, I wasn't setting any obligations, because like we're trying to. Here's the problem. There's an active war going on. I have no expectation of like running some side investigation or this little side mission, this murder mystery. This supposed murder mystery means nothing as far as the larger scope of the fucking conflict. Um, it's had setup written all over it. It smelled like a setup from day one. Um, I haven't seen anything that's proven it wasn't a fucking setup.
It
I
just
haven't
it
seen.
bothers me a little bit that they literally have a video of Hamas guy going into the truck, shooting in the air to make sure everybody sees him into a truck, which then he knows there's a 90% chance that truck's gonna get taken out. I
Yeah.
don't why don't we have that
Well,
video?
here's my problem. It's like
Pisses me
I
off.
don't even want to. I don't want to analyze or explain this because, like, I don't want the tactic to be repeated. Like, if you see what I'm saying, like
Yeah,
that's a tactic. You know what I'm
Think
saying?
of it.
It's not like it's a breakthrough tactic. It's not a breakthrough tactic. It's not the first time something like that's been done. But
Yeah.
we don't want to advertise that to like get everybody doing it. A bunch of copycat. Like, oh
yeah, but the
shit.
way they fell on their sword for days without even pushing back, that must have increased the probability of this tactic being reproduced. Don't you think? I don't like their
I don't
information
know. I
game.
don't. I like
Help us out. We're doing our best out here. Help us out, man. Give us something to go
fucking.
on. Give us something to work with.
You know, I I
Hey guys,
said
I'll
it was a
holler at y'all
setup.
in a little while. I'm going fishing.
See, man, I said it was a setup from day one.
What do we say when you
You
go
know,
fishing? Go break a line?
yeah.
Take it easy, Alan.
Mm,
I hope you eat well tonight.
Though, did you guys notice that Iran has been their helicopters have been flying nonstop from Iran to Iraq, deploying weaponry and stuff to somewhere in Iraq, closer to Syria. I think they're preparing for war. They're going to use Iraq, Syria, Lebanon as their
Actual
proxies.
war?
I think
yeah,
so. They've been
they've
deploying.
been
They've been,
moving.
yeah, heavy equipment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then
There's
another
been
Heavy
thing.
equipment like tanks?
I
everything.
don't know everything. I think their helicopters have been flying non-stop, like the locals are telling me. They have friends in the area. Anyway, so this is how bad these people are, like how evil they are. Did any of you know about Balochistan before and the war, the secret war of Iran in Balochistan that they were
Nope.
waging against our people? Nobody
Not a
knew.
word.
They
Nope.
are so secretive. They kept it under the carpet. So did Pakistan. These two countries
They're
are
careful never
allies.
to say the word Balochistan. They
Yeah.
always say Pakistan. They never say
Hmm.
the word Pakistani terrorists in
Hmm.
Pakistan. They
Oh yeah.
never say the word Baluch or Balochistan ever. Baluch is terrorist, and your location is Pakistan.
They
Yep.
went to an extent where they were manipulating Google search results uh, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So Balochistan never came up. It was their government agencies, their shit that came up. Anytime somebody searched something, it would bring up some fake, false news about Baluch people.
What do you
This
say?
is
There's
how
30
good they
million
are.
Baluch in Iran. 30 million in that area.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like I said earlier, right? Balochistan is not just Sistan Balochistan. It's
Right.
Kerman Balochistan, Hormozgan Balochistan, South Khorasan Balochistan, and Sistan Balochistan. It is divided in four subsections to manipulate our population, to make us look lower in numbers, to break us in every possible way possible, like to commit complete cultural, linguistic, and statistics genocide. This is how bad
You
these
know,
people are.
have there been people in there who have been completely integrated into Iranian culture already who don't even remember their
No,
Baluch? The
no, no.
Sistan,
They know, people
South,
know
and
that they're
Hamoud?
Baluch, but they've been scared to not speak Baluchi, to speak Farsi. Farsi is a sub branch of the Baluchi language. If you
Right.
historically look at it, the
Mhm.
language that was spoken back in the days by the Persians was called Pahlavi, which means the language of
I don't like that word.
no,
I don't
Pahlavi.
like that whole.
No, it's not this. It's not this Pahlavi. That one is with a W. It means the language of the mighty ones, which was a Baloch person, right? Pahlawan means the strong one. The language of the strong ones. Then they created a subsection of the Pahlavi language. This guy who calls himself Pahlavi, his name is Palani. He changed it to Pahlavi to manipulate and get
Seriously?
popular. Yeah, he did. His name is Palani. Palani. He's he changed his last name to Pahlavi to become popular because he knew that the language was popular prior, so he changed his last name to become Pahlavi. He's a real. If you look at the history, you will know what this guy did. He was a real piece of work, man, like a real piece of work. Anyway, so they show the numbers of the Baluch people less, but I think the Baluch people, if we were really to count them, over 60 million people between Pakistan, occupied in Afghanistan, and in the four provinces that compose of Balochistan. It's approximately about 50 to 60 million people.
I'm pretty sure we're calling him Palani now instead of the Shah.
Palani, yeah, Palani,
Pretty
Raza
sure that's
Pahla,
what we got to go with.
yeah.
Palani supporters. Yeah, sounds right.
I'll actually write an article on it, so you guys can read it.
This whole deception going on. The whole entity was manufactured on deception, on propaganda, on lies and filth, everything. Unbelievable. So I'm just curious about what happens to Karman, Hormuz, South, and Sistan. What happens to them with the free Baluch? They join? Is there any question? I mean, the kids grew up, the kids who were born recently, do they even know? I mean, with the Jews, kids who grew up in these areas where they had to hide it, kids didn't grow up Jewish, they don't even know. A lot of them didn't even know. Why would the parents teach them? It could just endanger their lives. You have some of these kids, some of these families that find out that they're Jewish like 3 generations later. Some of them never find out.
That's the modus operandi.
Right. So how is that being effective in Karman and Hormuz and Sistan?
Well, it's evident that this methodology, right, that was most infamously deployed against the Jewish people has not been exclusively deployed against the Jewish people.
Yeah, yeah. If somebody controls your language, then that's what they're trying to accomplish. They don't want you propagating your culture. They don't want anybody to know about it. They want you to know teaching someone this can one day cost them their life. And if you love that person, you won't do that.
Yep.
That's how you effectively eliminate the culture. The people who love them have to protect them from it.
Precisely. And it's really just amazing the extent that it's been effective, in the sense that, like he pointed out, we had no idea about the Baluch. And to take it even, further, like there was an incident within my friend group, of 20 years ago that kind of caused us to all talk, and a friend of mine that I think he did like eight tours, right? Two in Iraq, six in Afghanistan.
You're getting very nostalgic these days, man. I don't know, something's
Yeah,
going
I know.
on there. You're going back to
I,
Dallas. You're talking about the old days constantly.
I've always been nostalgic. It's how I maintain sanity. Remember where I came from. Because the world has changed a lot in this time.
Oh yeah, hell
And
yeah,
he, he wasn't aware of the Baluch either.
really.
Yeah, yeah, but he was able to quickly get up to speed on it. But yeah, like nobody know they've been able to keep this so silent by methods that you just described, Jake. Is that they never call them Baluch, they call them Pakistani terrorists, and simply by wording it that way, they completely erase. Now you see it, now you don't. The Baluch existence. There's no Baluch, there's no Baluchistan, there's no Baluchistani. They're just Pakistani terrorists. And how does anybody know? How does anybody know? And then
Yeah,
the few, the few times where like people do start to figure it out, because apparently some congressional representatives started to figure this out a little bit 10, 15 years ago. And the same kind of pattern of attacks that we see used against us now was used against them.
yeah.
The Pakistani lobby came out in force. Of course, the Iranian lobby was, working hand in hand there because they both conspire to erase the Baluch's existence, and they have been successful. It's amazing that the Baluch people have survived. The question is, like, if the word hadn't started getting out, like, would they have even survived this?
I just
Not
can't believe that. I can't believe how. I mean, you were deep, deep, deep into this region before you even found out. It's unbelievable. It's really, yeah. I mean, obviously there's a language barrier, but then you have real pros like y'all and the doctor who post the stuff. You have some, yeah. So yeah, they got to be amplified. Definitely.
it's amazing how the magnetic activity that takes place on social audio.
You know, I've seen terrorists. I know what they do. One thing they don't do is they don't pick fair fights. They don't fight police. They don't fight weapons depots. They don't fight army bases. What the hell are you talking about? What the hell kind of idiot terrorist would do that? I mean, go to a restaurant, blow it up, just like a normal terrorist. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
suicide bombing, all that kind of stuff. Dude, this is pro level
Even the
work.
mercenary terrorists, ISIS K, we know what they do. Go to a place where there's no weapons except for yours and do your terrorist activities. This is not the modus operandi for any terrorist ever. Why would you go and terrorize people who can fight back?
All right,
It
I
makes
got
no
you guys.
sense.
I got you guys something to be busy with. So I had an article that I'd written a long time ago. I just posted it here. It's pinned on the wall there. So if you click on it, it says the evolution of Reza Shah from Pahlani to Pahlavi. It tells you everything you need to know how this evil tyrant um, manipulated his last name to become popular.
Yeah, this is important.
Yeah, so that's part of this whole rebranding that took place around this time period. Like, there was no Iran before 1935. So there is no ancient Iranian
All of
culture.
their all of their stuff is a myth. It's based on mythology. It's based on lies. They never had these movies. You know how they made these movies that there was like these powerful Iranian Persian things. No, they were never Iranian. If they were probably Kurdish or Baloch. These people were always terrorists, always up to no good, always up to doing some evil, dark shit in the planet.
And this Aryan connection.
You just walk. The last thing we